Well, master, your opinion. The woman is to be judged. She must not contaminate the earth with her weight. Her breath is poison that upsets hearts. Jesus stands up. Good gracious, what a face. His eyes flash like lightning, striking the accusers. He holds his head so upright that he looks even taller, and he is so severe and solemn that he seems a king on his throne. His mantle has fallen off one shoulder, forming a short train behind him. But he does not mind that. With stern countenance, and not even the least trace of a smile on his lips or in his eyes, he glares with such eyes at the crowds which withdraw as they would before two sharp blades. He stares at them one by one, with such searching intensity that frightens. Those who are stared at try to withdraw into the crowd and hide there. The circle thus widens and breaks up as if it were mined by an occult power. He finally speaks. If there is one of you who has not sinned, let him be the first to throw a stone at her. And his voice sounds like thunder, while his eyes flash even more brightly. Jesus has folded his arms across his chest and remains thus, as straight as a judge awaiting. His eyes give no peace. They search, penetrate, and accuse. First one, then two, then five, then in groups. All the people present go away with lowered heads. Not only the scribes and the Pharisees, but also those who were previously around Jesus, and others who had approached him to hear his opinion and the sentence. And both the former and the latter had joined together to abuse the guilty woman and demand her lapidation. Jesus is left alone with Peter and John. I do not see the other apostles. Jesus has resumed writing while the flight of the accusers is taking place. He now writes, Pharisees, vipers, sepulchres of rottenness, liars, traitors, enemies of God, revilers of his word. When the court is completely empty, and there is a solemn silence in it, only the rustling of the wind and the murmur of a little fountain in a corner can be heard. Jesus raises his head and looks. His countenance is now placid. He is sad, but no longer angry. He casts a look at Peter, who has moved away a little, leaning against a column, and one at John, who, almost behind Jesus, looks at him with his loving eyes. Jesus smiles slightly, looking at Peter, and more brightly when he looks at John. Two different smiles. He then looks at the woman, still prostrated and weeping at his feet. He gets up. He adjusts his mantle as if he were about to set off. He beckons to the two apostles to go to the exit. When he is alone, he calls the woman. Woman, listen to me. Look at me. He repeats his order because she dare not look up. Woman, we are alone. Look at me. The poor wretch raises her face, that tears and dust have turned into a mask of dejection. Woman, where are now those who were accusing you? Jesus is speaking in a low voice, with gravity, full of pity. His head and body are lightly bent forward towards so much misery, and his eyes are full of an indulgent, restoring expression. Did no one condemn you? The woman replies, sobbing, No one, Master. Neither do I condemn you. Go, and do not sin any more. Go home, and behave in such a way that you may be forgiven by God and by the man you offended. And do not trespass on the benignity of the Lord. Go. And he helps her to get up, taking her by the hand, but he does not bless. Neither does he greet her with the salutation of peace. He looks at her going away, her head lowered and slightly staggering in her shame. And when she disappears, he sets off himself with the 2 disciples.